Hello guys, welcome to my channel, Shirakumi here. Today I'm going to explain to you the movement in Valorant. Before we jump on in this video, I highly recommend you watch the video I made about AWP versus Operator. I did a deep analysis and came up with a bunch of interesting information that you'll surely need because you're dying for new information. Now let's get the main topic going. First, I shall tell you what movement is and why it's so important that you have to know so that you can gain a competitive advantage. And second, I'll explain every information I have about movement in Valorant and break it down. In a lot of FPS games, you can be quicker, agile, evasive, and unpredictable by mastering the movement of that specific game. In my opinion, one of the key defining factors of the skill ceiling in FPS games is movement. The more the game has a freedom of movement, the predictability of your position lowers. As you have more ways to move around the level, it becomes more difficult for your opponents to predict where you are going to be at any given time. You can outsmart your enemies and be a very hard target to hit while being accurate at the same time. Some players practice their movement more than they practice aiming and game sense. In Valorant's case, it's no different. From the 5 teaser gameplays we have at the moment and some sources from the Riot development team, Valorant has bunnyhopping, counter-strafing, air-strafing, movement inaccuracy, crouching, walking, and ground friction. Weapons have different maximum speed and the fastest speed you can get is by equipping a knife. First off, let's cover movement inaccuracy. If you're new to this mechanic, let me tell you a brief explanation. When you move while shooting, your shots will be inaccurate. Jumping also counts as movement here. In Valorant, different guns will have different inaccuracy. You can see that the Sheriff has a lot of movement inaccuracy because the player holding the gun is standing still while shooting. Rifles and snipers will have a lot of movement inaccuracy too. Whereas some pistols, shotguns and SMGs will have a little movement inaccuracy. It means that you can be accurate even while running and jumping. The next technique we are covering is air-strafing. What is an air-strafing? Air-strafing is a technique where you can control your directions mid-air. To air-strafe, you let off W and press A or D to the same direction you want your agent to move. For example, if you want to move to the left, press A and move your mouse to the left. If you want to move to the right, press D and move your mouse to the right. You can see here that Phoenix used air-strafing here. This technique is used in games built on Source engines such as Counter-Strike, Team Fortress, and Portal 2. Some other games use air-strafe too. You can use air-strafe to do sick jumps, escape to corners faster, and also trick others. Next we have ground friction. Ground friction slows your movement speed and happens when you land on the ground after a jump. As you can see, Brimstone's speed slowed down quite a bit after several consecutive jumps. Next we have counter-strafing. Counter-strafing is a must-know technique and probably will be the most important movement technique in Valorant. What is counter-strafing? When you're pressing a key to move and take it off, the ground friction will slow you down eventually. Counter-strafing is a technique that can be used to shorten the process of slowing down. You can see here that Paul is using counter-strafe in the trailer if you look very closely to his fingers. But why is it so important? Imagine you're checking around corners and suddenly spotting an enemy. Without this technique, you'll have to wait unnecessarily longer before you slow down to the point where movement inaccuracy won't affect your shots. In order to use this technique, imagine you are going left and you suddenly spot an enemy, so you decide to stop very fast. In this case, you have to let go of A and tap the opposite key, which is D. This gives you extra stopping power besides the ground friction. Use this technique and you'll always own some noobs. Valorant will have crouching and walking. Walking is used so you don't give away your position. Lastly, Riot was asked if there was a bunnyhopping, and here's the answer. We'd like movement to be expressive in Valorant, letting players pull off trick jumps, etc. We don't intend on players moving around the map at huge speeds though. Valorant will allow bunnyhopping with limited speed, which is a blessing. Bunnyhopping is another movement technique where you consecutively hit air strafes without letting ground friction affect your speed. You can see here that Sage could have done bunnyhopping if she added the air strafing technique. This technique holds little to no advantage in competitive games, but is incredibly satisfying when doing it consistently. What do you think of Valorant's movement mechanics? If you play Counter-Strike or Apex Legends, do you like that the mechanics are similar? Comment down anything below and I'll reply. Thanks for watching and see you guys next time.